To Kill a Mockingbird, Chapter 23. I wish Bob Yule wouldn't chew tobacco, was all Atticus said about it. According to Miss Stephanie Crawford, however, Atticus was leaving the post office when Mr. Yule approached him, cursed him, spat on him, and threatened to kill him. Miss Stephanie said Atticus didn't bat an eye, just took out his handkerchief, wiped his face, and stood there and let Mr. Yule call him names wild horses could not bring her to repeat. So, Mr. Yule said, "Too proud to fight, you Negro-loving bastard?" And Atticus replied, "No, too old," put his hands in his pockets and strolled on. A few days later, Atticus noticed that Jem and I were really worried because Bob Yule had threatened to kill Atticus. He told Jem, "See, if you can stand in Bob Yule's shoes for a minute." I destroyed his last shred of credibility in that trial, if he had any to begin with. The man had to have some kind of comeback. His kind always does. So if spitting in my face and threatening me saved Mayella one extra beating, that's something I'll gladly take. He had to take it out on somebody, and I'd rather it be me than a house full of children out there. You understand? After that, we were not afraid. Atticus told us that nothing would happen to Tom Robinson until the higher court reviewed his case, and that Tom had a good chance of going free, or at least of having a new trial. He was at Enfield Prison Farm, 70 miles away in Chester County. I asked if Tom's wife and children were allowed to visit him, but Atticus said no. If he loses his appeal, I asked one evening, what'll happen to him? "He'll go to the electric chair," said Atticus, "unless the governor commutes his sentence." "No time to worry yet, Scout. We've got a good chance." "Tom's jury sure made up its mind in a hurry," Jem muttered. Atticus's fingers went to his watch pocket. "No, it didn't," he said, more to himself than to us. "That was the one thing that made me think, well, maybe this is the shadow of a beginning. That jury took a few hours. An inevitable verdict, maybe, but usually it just takes them a few minutes. You might like to know that there was one fellow who took considerable wearing down in the beginning. He was wanting to set Tom free." "Who?" Jem was astonished. Atticus's eyes twinkled. "It's not for me to say, but I'll tell you this much. He was one of your old Sarum friends." "One of the Cunninghams?" Jem yelped. I didn't recognize any of them. You're joking." "One of their connections. On a hunch, I didn't dismiss him from the jury, even though I could have." "Golly Moses," said Jem reverently. "One minute they're trying to kill Tom, the next minute they're trying to turn him loose. I'll never understand those folks as long as I live." After Atticus left the room, I decided I would be nice to Walter Cunningham from now on, since someone in his family had been on the jury and wanted to set Tom free. I even said that I would invite him over to spend the night sometime. "We'll see about that," Aunt Alexandra said. Surprised, I turned to her. "Why not, Auntie? They're good folks." She looked at me over her sewing glasses. "Jean Louise, there's no doubt in my mind that they're good folks, but they're not our kind of folks. You can't scrub Walter Cunningham till he shines, and you can put him in shoes, in a new suit, but he'll never be like Jem. Besides, there's a drinking streak in that family a mile wide. Finch women aren't interested in that sort of people." "If they're good folks, then why can't I be nice to Walter?" "I didn't say don't be nice to him. You should be friendly and polite to him. You should be gracious to everybody, dear. But you don't have to invite him home." "But I want to play with Walter, Auntie. Why can't I?" She took off her glasses to stare at me. "I'll tell you why," she said. "Because he is trash. That's why you can't play with him. I'll not have him around picking up his habits, learning Lord knows what. You're enough of a problem to your father as it is." I was so angry and upset, but Jem put his arm around me and led me, sobbing in fury, to his room. He told me that Auntie was trying to make me into a lady and that I should take up sewing or something. I told Jem I was so upset Auntie called Walter Cunningham trash. "But Walter Cunningham isn't trash. He ain't like the Yules," I told Jem. "You know something, Scout? I got it all figured out now. I thought about it a lot lately, and I've got it figured out. There's 4 kinds of folks in the world. There's the ordinary kind like us and the neighbors. Then there's like The Cunninghams out in the woods, the kind like the Yules down at the dump, and the Negroes. Our kinds of folk don't like the Cunninghams, and the Cunninghams don't like the Yules, and the Yules hate and despise the colored folks. Background means that family has been reading and writing for a long time. I don't think that is what background is, Jem. Everybody's got to learn. Nobody's born knowing. That Walter's as smart as he can be. He just gets held back sometimes because he has to stay out and help his daddy. Nothing wrong with him. No, Jem. I think there's just one kind of folks. Folks, Jem said. That's what I thought too when I was your age. If there's just one kind of folks, how come they can't get along with each other? If they're all alike, why do they go out of their way to despise each other? Scout, I think I'm beginning to understand something. I'm beginning to understand why Boo Radley stays shut up in the house all the time. It's because he wants to stay inside.